everyone. So, in this lecture I am going to discuss about the digestion and absorption of nutrients. The previous lecture we have already covered about the stomach, the small intestine and large intestine, the anatomy of GIT we have covered. In this lecture we will discuss about the carbohydrate metabolism, the protein metabolism or the fat metabolism, how it is forming the energy, what are the central metabolic pathways. So, let us start with the term digestion. So, digestion is the process of breaking large insoluble food molecules into the smaller molecules. Basically what we are doing, we are converting the complex substances into the simpler one, yes, which is eventually easily absorbed, yes. So, what is absorption? So, second term here is the absorption. When it is digested, means when the complex substance is changed into simpler substance, it will absorb. So, how will absorb? Absorption means the retention of the content, or how the content these simpler particles or simpler molecules, they are going into the cells, yes. So, we will see the definitions. So, the absorption is the process of assimilating substances, the accumulation of substances, or how they are ingested into these cells across the tissues or organs, which is ultimately forming the energy. They are utilized for, or the consumption of these substances is for the energy formation or the ATP formation, yes. So, this is whole about the digestion and absorption. Now, coming to the there is a one view through which we will get to know about the parts associated with the digestion and absorption. So, see the diagram. Here is the this section is the mouth where the saliva is present. Then we will see there is one more section which is the stomach, yes. Then there is a third region which is the small intestine, and the fourth region is the large intestine. This is mouth, this is the stomach, this is the small intestine, and this is large intestine. See the differences or the digestion or absorption which is occurring in these of the four parts. So, first is the in the mouth, mechanical digestion include chewing. So, with the help of teeth there will be a mechanical digestion, yes, chewing or swallowing, and chemical digestion of the carbohydrate and fats with the help of the enzyme present in the saliva. Now, we will see the stomach. So, in the stomach there is a mechanical digestion, which is how the mechanical digestion is going here, through the peristaltic movement, through the contraction, yes, through the contraction of the layers, yes. So, peristaltic mixing will be there, the food will mix with the juices or enzymes present in the stomach. So, peristaltic mixing and propulsion, yes, the movement of the food will be there. Now, chemical digestion of proteins and fats, absorption of lipid soluble substances like alcohol, like aspirin, yes. So, this could be there in the stomach area. We will see the small intestine. So, small intestine, majority of the absorption, majority of the digestion is occurring in this area, yes. So, there will be a mechanical digestion, and the mechanical digestion is with the help of peristaltic movement through the contraction. Now, see the chemical digestion of carbohydrate will be there, the fats, the polypeptides, nucleic acids, they will be metabolized through the enzymes. That is why we are saying chemical, yes, chemical digestion. Now, absorption will be there. So, absorption of peptides, proteins, amino acids, glucose, fructose, fats, water, minerals, vitamins, means the majority of the content will be absorbed from the small intestine area, yes, nearly 90%. Now, we will see the large intestine. So, there will be mechanical digestion. So, all of this section you will see the small intestine, the stomach, small intestine, large intestine, from all of these areas there will be peristaltic movement. Yes. So, mechanical digestion includes the segmental mixing and propulsion, the same peristaltic movement will be there. No chemical digestion is involved except by bacteria. So, I told you majority of the absorption is through the small intestine. So, the chemical digestion is not involved here and the absorption is also less in the large intestine. Generally the water is absorbed from the large intestine. Yes. So, we will see the absorption here, absorption of iron, absorption of water, absorption of minerals, vitamins. Yes. Some organic molecules, they are absorbed from the large intestine. So, we will see the digestion and absorption from that particular point of view. Small intestine is very important part. Now, let us start with the carbohydrate metabolism. So, digested carbohydrate, mainly glucose, it is absorbed into the blood capillaries of the villi in the small intestine. What is the absorbed form of the carbohydrate? So, we get to know about the glucose. The glucose is the absorbed form, and how it will form? Because everything we are eating, it is not a glucose, it could be a polysaccharide, yes, it could be some other complex form, but it need to be changed in the monosaccharides. Yes. So, how it will change? It will change into disaccharide, then disaccharide will change into monosaccharides. Yes, and monosaccharide is the ultimate form for the absorption. It will absorb from the villi. This is a very fine tiny finger like projections present in the small intestine. These tiny finger projections in the small intestine increasing the area, they are increasing the surface area, yes, which will ultimately enhancing the absorption. So, it is transported by portal circulation. So, we will see here, this is the stomach, yes, there is from there the intestine, small intestine will start. So, there we can see this is the portal vein, portal circulation. So, all of the your glucose, yes, means the absorbed form, that will be transported by the portal circulation into the liver. Yes, from there, from absorption in this portal vein, and it will come to the liver, where it is dealt with several ways. So, the glucose which is absorbed, either it can be utilized to produce ATP, energy in the liver, or glucose in circulating blood, it can go in the circulating blood as well, yes, to maintain the glucose levels, or it can be stored in the glycogen form if the glucose is present in excess amount. Yes. So, these things can happen, these are the some of the ways through which the glucose can go. Now, see the carbohydrate in all of the sections which I told you earlier is like mouth, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. In all of these areas, what is going on with carbohydrate? Yes. See, so carbohydrate in the mouth, yes, with the help of salivary amylase, because this is present in the saliva, the digestible starches means the polysaccharides, the complex form, it is converted into disaccharides. Yes, means the sucrose, the maltose, the lactose, okay, these type of disaccharides will be formed here. Now, if you will see the stomach, so in the stomach hydrochloric acid is present. Now, whenever the salivary amylase which is present in the mouth, in the saliva, and it is digesting the complex polysaccharides into the disaccharides, it will come in the stomach area. What happens? Now, the salivary amylase will denatures, yes, it will be destroyed with the help of hydrochloric acid, yes. So, there the work is stopped, the work of salivary amylase will be stopped there. just because of the presence of HCl. Yes. Now next, in the small intestine, what will happen? In the small intestine, pancreatic amylase is present. So, pancreatic juices which is coming in the duodenum area, the very first part of the small intestine. There what happens, the pancreatic juices will convert the digestible starch into disaccharides. Yes. Like sucrose, maltose, these type of disaccharides. Now, here some enzymes like sucrase, maltase, lactase, these enzymes are present in enterocytes. Yes, these enterocytes are basic cells present in the small intestine. Now, these cells, these enzymes which is formed from these cells, enterocytes, they will convert the disaccharides into monosaccharides. So, sucrase can convert the sucrose into fructose or glucose. Yes, or maltase will convert the maltose into glucose. Yes, like this. So, the very simpler form of the carbohydrate will form, which is fructose or glucose, means the monomers. Now, if we will see the absorption, so I told you 90% of absorption is occurring from the small intestine, not in the case of carbohydrate, but also for the proteins and fats. Yes. So, see, once the monosaccharides are formed, once the glucose is formed here in the small intestine, they will be absorbed into the blood capillaries of the villi, and then it will go from the portal circulation to the liver, where it is utilized in many ways, which I already discussed. In the large intestine, there is nothing which is going with the carbohydrate. Yes. Now, see the protein metabolism. So, about 20% 20 amino acids are there, and these 20 amino acids are categorized into two types. One is the essential amino acid, another is the non-essential amino acid. Essential amino acids, they are required to take in the diet because they cannot be synthesized in the body. Yes. And the opposite is true for the non-essential. Now, I will see the numbers. So, 9 out of these 20 are the essential amino acids. Yes, and left one means the 11 are your non-essential. Now, the enzyme which is involved for the process of forming the amino acids, this new amino acids, are transaminase. Yes, with the help of these transaminase, the new amino acids are formed, and this process is also going in the liver. Now, digestion break down the dietary proteins into the constituent amino acids with the help of some peptidases. Yes, there are some protein metabolizing enzymes which is also present in majority in a small intestine. Yes. So, they are absorbed, the very simpler form of these proteins, they are absorbed from the blood capillaries of the villi. Yes. Now, see the proteins. So, as I told you for the carbohydrate, in a similar way the protein in all these 4 sections, the mouth, the stomach, small intestine and large intestine. What is going on in these 4 parts with this particular protein? So, see, in the mouth there is nothing which is going with the proteins, because no enzyme is present for metabolizing the proteins in the mouth, in the saliva. So, stomach, will start with the stomach here. Here the hydrochloric acid is present. Now, why the hydrochloric acid is important? In the stomach, through the stomach lining, there is one gastric chief cells are present, and these gastric chief cells are producing pepsinogen. This pepsinogen is the inactive form of enzyme. Yes. It need to be converted into active form. The active form is the pepsin. Now, pepsinogen is converted to pepsin with the help of hydrochloric acid. That is why hydrochloric acid is important. In the carbohydrate metabolism, what we have covered, the hydrochloric acid is what it doing? It is stopping the function of salivary amylase. Here the hydrochloric acid is activating the pepsinogen to pepsin which will further metabolize the protein. So, there is a one function which is going with the protein in the stomach area, the metabolizing of the protein with the help of pepsin. So, proteins are converted into polypeptides, means the simpler form of the proteins, yes, the smaller chains of the proteins. Now, we will see the small intestine. So, what is going on with the proteins in the small intestine? There is a one enzyme, enterokinase. This enterokinase is present in the enterocyte cells in the small intestine. Now, these enterokinase, what it is doing? It is converting the chymotrypsinogen and trypsinogen to chymotrypsin and trypsin. And this chymotrypsinogen or trypsinogen, these both are obtained from the pancreas in the pancreatic juices. Yes. Once the chymotrypsin or trypsin, which is the activated form, is formed with the help of enterokinase enzyme, there is the formation of di or tripeptides, means more simpler form of the proteins are formed, which will ultimately be absorbed from the capillaries. Yes. So, see here the di and tripeptides amino acids are formed and it is absorbed into blood capillaries of the villi. These spiny, these spine finger like projections, very tiny finger like projections. Yes. So, through those finger like projections, the simpler form of proteins will be absorbed, and in the large intestine, I told you already, because 90% of your absorption will be from this side, small intestine. So, there is nothing for the large intestine. Now, see the protein metabolism. So, amino acids are transported in the portal circulation, the similar way the carbohydrate is utilized. In similar way, the amino acids is also transported into portal circulation, it will go to the liver. Yes, it can also be utilized for the ATP formation. So, it will go in the general circulation and then making them available to the cells and tissue of the body. Now, different cell choose from those available the particular amino acids required for building or for repairing the specific type of tissue, or for synthesizing the secretion, for synthesizing the hormones, yes, for synthesizing some amino acids, for synthesizing the antibodies, or for synthesizing the enzymes, for maintaining some reactions or causing or helping in the reaction cascade. Yes. So, this is how these cells will utilize the proteins, yes, the simpler form of proteins. Now, amino acids not required for building and repairing, those of the amino acids which is not required, they will undergo the deamination reaction, where the through this reaction the amino group will be removed and it will form the urea. It will come out in the urine as a waste product. Now, see the proteins in the form of amino acids, they are the potential fuel. Yes. They can also undergo the glycolysis cycle. Yes. They can also go in the citric acid cycle. They can also go for the oxidative phosphorylation. They can also form the ATP. Yes. And they will only form the ATP when the other form of the fuel is not present, means at the time of starvation. Yes. So, this amino acid, the simpler form of these amino acids can also be utilized for the ATP formation after the carbohydrate. Now, coming to the fat metabolism. So, see the fat is synthesized from the excess dietary carbohydrate as well as proteins, and they are stored, generally they are stored in fat deposits or fat depots. These depots are means deposits, there the deposition of the fat is present, yes, and they will only be utilized for the energy formation when the other forms of the the carbohydrate or the proteins if they are not present. Yes. So, fats that have been digested and absorbed as fatty acids or glycerol into the lacteals. these lacteals are the lymph capillaries. Yes, these lacteals present in the small intestine, and these lacteals will absorb the fatty acids or the glycerols. Yes, this is a simpler form of the you can say the fats. When the fats are metabolized, they are metabolized into the fatty acids or the glycerol, and then they will ultimately go or absorb from the lacteals. Yes. So, the same is written, they will be absorbed from the lacteals and transported via the cisterna chyli and the thoracic duct to the bloodstream. So, via the circuitous route to the liver. Fatty acids and glycerol circulating in the blood are used by the cells of organs and glands to provide energy, and in the synthesis of some of the secretions. There are some hormones which are fatty in nature, there are some secretions which are fatty in nature, they are prepared from the fatty substances. So, they can also be utilized in that manner. Now, see the fats in all of these 4 sections, the mouth, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. So, the how the fat is metabolized in those areas. So, in the mouth there is no enzyme present for the fat metabolism. There is no enzyme present in the stomach for the fat metabolism, but if we will see the small intestine, the fat is metabolized there. How it is metabolized? See, bile, which is synthesized in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. It is coming through the bile duct in the duodenum through a very common hepatopancreatic duct. Now, the bile which is from the liver, the bile salts are present in this bile and it will emulsify the fats. Yes. So, when there is an emulsification of fat, we are making it in a more simpler form, that is a more easily absorbed. Yes. Now, pancreatic lipase is present in the pancreatic juices, and these pancreatic lipase, this particular enzyme is transforming the fats into fatty acids or glycerols. Yes. Lipase is one enzyme here in the enterocyte cells, means the small intestine itself. Yes. So, we have covered here, there is a one enzyme or we can say one product, that is a bile salt, which is present in the bile juices coming from the liver. They are metabolizing the fat. Yes. The second thing, the pancreatic lipase, which is from the pancreatic juices, it is metabolizing the fats, and in the small intestine itself there is one enzyme lipase present. Yes. And that lipase is converting the fats into fatty acids and glycerol. So, whole of these simpler form of the fatty acid, that will be absorbed through the lacteals. Yes, the lymph capillaries. So, it is absorbed into the lacteals of the villi, and then it will go further in the circulation for the utilizing into some other secretions or some hormones or the ATP formation. Now, see the fatty acid and energy release. So, when body tissues are deprived of glucose, like fasting, like starvation, we are not taking food for many days, yes, and strenuous exercise, yes, lot of exercise we are doing, then body use alternative energy sources, and we are not getting that much energy from the carbohydrate source, then our other sources will utilize for the energy formation, the proteins or the fats, they will be utilized. So, fatty acids may be converted into acetyl coenzyme A. This is the one product. Yes, it will enter in the citric acid cycle for acid for the ATP formation. Yes, and under this citric acid cycle, they can form the ketone bodies. There will be the accumulation of ketone bodies, and if this accumulation is high, there will be toxicity in the body that can cause ketonuria. Yes, ketone bodies will come out in the urine. So, that can be very severe situation if there will be accumulation of ketone bodies or there will be toxicity of ketone bodies. Yes. Now, see there is a water, water is also absorbed So, water is absorbed, some amount is absorbed in the stomach, some amount is absorbed in the small intestine, and remainder portion is absorbed in the large intestine. Similarly, we have for the vitamins. So, the vitamins are absorbed like vitamin for the vitamin B1-2 absorption, there are the intrinsic factors which is released in the stomach, and these intrinsic factors are secreted by the parietal cells. Yes, these factors are very important for vitamin B1-2 absorption. In the small intestine, you will see the water soluble vitamins. Water soluble vitamins means vitamin B. Yes, this is a water soluble vitamins, they are absorbed from the capillaries, whereas the fat soluble vitamins. So, like vitamin A, D, E, K, these all the vitamins are fat soluble, they will be absorbed in the lacteals of the villi. All of the fatty substances are absorbed from the lacteals. Yes, we have already covered this. In the large intestine, there are some bacteria present which are commensals for our body. They are not harmful for our body. So, those of the bacteria like Clostridium perfringens, E. coli, they are synthesizing the vitamin K. Yes, and then that vitamin K will be absorbed from that particular site, the large intestine. There are some central metabolic pathways you need to know whenever these carbohydrate, protein or fats, it is going in the circulation, it is utilized by the cells to form the energy. How the energy is formed? It will undergo the glycolysis process, or it will further it will go under the citric acid cycle, and then will go under the electron transport chain. These are the three processes which is going on. This glycolysis is going, it is forming the, it is going in the cytoplasm of the cell, whereas the citric acid cycle is in the mitochondria, and electron transport chain is the mitochondrial matrix. Yes, you will see this diagram, you will get to know about this. Yes, the proteins are there, then glucose, the carbohydrate, starch or glycogen, fat and lipids, they all are forming the simpler compounds. So, see here, the first is the glycolysis step, this is going on here. The glucose is forming glucose 6-phosphate, fructose 6-phosphate, fructose 1,6 biphosphate, then phosphoenol, it is forming the pyruvate. Yes. So, this is how the glucose is turned into means the pyruvate, which is utilized in the TCA cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, the acetyl coenzyme A. This pyruvate is forming this particular product. Yes, and this particular product is very beneficial, means the acetyl coenzyme you can see for both of the ways, the proteins and the fats. The proteins is also forming the acetyl coenzyme. Similarly, the fats is also forming the acetyl coenzyme, and when they are formed, they are only formed when there is a starvation, when there is a strenuous exercise, when the energy form is not present. At that time, these proteins and fats, they will come under this. Yes, and then ultimately you can see the cycle like citrate, isocitrate, ketoglutarate, succinate, fumarate, malate, oxoacetate. In this, energy production is there is a ATP formation. Yes, this is utilized by the cells. So, this is how our cells are surviving, how our organs are surviving, or how we are surviving. Yes, this is only through these of the metabolic pathways which is going in our body. So, I hope this is clear to all of you. Thank you so much everyone. We will meet in the next session which is related with the digestive system also. So, thank you so much everyone.